Welcome to World Rune, a land of ancient empires, serene beauty, and loving faith. It is a place where magic is the technology that builds every rock. These cultures are as diverse as the weather and wildlife, but these strange lands are no strangers to conflict. Usually, this conflict is just as inward as it is outward, for a variety of reasons. For some, it's about ideology or the economy, while for others, it is simply a test of faith. Which brings us to the subject of our story. The Empire of Malavia, located right here at the southern end of the central continent. Well, what is Malavia? To understand Malavia, we must also understand the central directive that drives them.
They believe in God.
If you also believe in God, great. Pray for 50 years, and you might become one of the faithful. If you don't, then it's not a problem either. They just put all of the non-believers in a really fun boot camp. In other words, Malavia is a group of radical religious extremists using their faith as a currency to fund a dystopian police state with a nationwide eugenics program. Yes, every Malavian is incredibly attractive due to being an advertisement for God, and also known for their unanimous silver hair and blue eyes, with a pond and a koi fish swimming within. That's not the only perk you get for believing in God, but believing is not exactly the right word, as most in the world can acknowledge that the Malavians' God, the Nine, is a very real and present part of their lives. Think of him, or her, or them, as an overbearing HR manager with crippling schizophrenia. Now, before we even get to how a statue got convicted for murder, we are going to need a few bits of context. Malavia, 525th year. The third prophet of Malavia, Alia, who is basically the Pope and also God's wife and daughter. Don't worry about it. Released a holy text, the Articles of Grace. It was a bestseller, which essentially made the Malavian faith a lot more open to interpretation. See, in the faith there are 9 tenets. It's all very the fine print giveth, and the fine print taketh away. But these tenets covered all walks of life. These tenets were based on God's 9 voices. The voice of power that gave you obliteration, the voice of wealth that gave you gambling, or the voice of devotion that gave you dogma. The Holy Capital would use these tenets as pillars to build their society. But with Alia dropping this new balance patch, this gave the elves the freedom to have some diversity in their religious practices. This ultimately ended up with the Malavians min-maxing really hard into one tenet, and then expanding out from the Holy Capital to build kingdoms based around it. This ended up with all the kingdoms being bundled into one giant metropolis, with 10 kingdoms, which is what the Holy Capital is today. That brings us forward to the 642nd year. The Kingdom of Justice, Ryhope. See, Malavia is recovering from the fallout of making God very angry. How did they do that? With this, a statue that came to be called the greatest insult. Essentially, certain holy orders began springing up through various horrific circumstances, as in this world, God never had a New Testament, and this created offshoots of the Malavian faith. Thanks, Alia. These offshoots were really just praying to God with some gusto, but soon these orders began to grow in popularity. They were like a pray-quick-get-rich scheme, as God stopped answering prayers around this time for some reason. This obviously began getting out of hand, and soon a group of faithful marched into Ryhope and erected this statue, a tribute to the holy orders as rival deities to God. Now, God was, to put it lightly, quite upset and invoked the path of penance. What was that? Very bad time. But after the whole ordeal, God would actually leave the statue, standing at the center of Ryhope. When the Malavians looked upon the statue, they were meant to feel shame. Instead, they felt unbridled hatred. But the Malavians couldn't do anything about it because, 1, it was under legal protection, and 2, they were in Ryhope. It's got even more of a 1984 kind of vibe, since this is the headquarters of the Inquisition. So everyone kind of just gave it very ominous glares as they walked past, or occasionally threw stones at it. until one elf showed up. Guy Coades, also known as a walking case study of the severe effects of religious dogma. This individual has a very documented history of being an unhinged lunatic. That's a story for another time. You see, this was Guy Coades' first time in Rye Hope, and when he looked upon the statue, it made him quite angry. So angry that he would begin to claw, bite, and strike the statue for 9 days straight. During this period of unprovoked assault, the Inquisition would receive word about a disturbance in the Hubran district. When they went to investigate, they would find Guy Coades locked in fierce combat with the unmoving foe. Normally, this would lead to his immediate arrest, but Guy Coades is a rather special case, emphasis on the special, because he had a unique diplomatic immunity, due to everyone agreeing he was kind of mentally ill from over-radicalization. Not an uncommon occurrence, mind you. So the Inquisition just left him be and kept an eye on him as the statue was a construct of grace and wouldn't be destroyed so easily. But on the 9th day, he punched the statue so hard he managed to crack it to flesh, and it began to finally topple. Right on top of him. It crushed him, and he immediately revived and got back up because Malavians are immortal. Thanks God. But Guy Coades was now even more livid, completely appalled that this statue would dare unjustly attack him, and he would accuse the statue of murder. The Inquisition ignored him, as most do in Malevia, but after bitching about it for like a week, the Inquisition had finally had enough. This guy was spawning some kind of cult around all the protesting, so they kept having to send the protesters to the fun boot camps. They soon brought this to the attention of the Hand of Justice, Queen Inquisitor Praxezetis, who is the head of Rye Hope and the Inquisition. Being one of the Hands of God, the Malevian equivalent of the Senate, she had much bigger problems than a broken statue. Yet soon became clear to her that this was getting out of control. Faithful were using this statue as a ritual site for the mass. Gentrification of boot camp attendees. The Inquisition was losing its grip on the populace as the Holy Order began losing the fear and respect of the elves. Arresting Guy Coades only made this worse, as it made him a martyr that only heightened the protests. Because of the rituals and protests, Rye Hope started going through a labor shortage and had to start importing labor from other places, primarily from the Kingdom of Loom, as it was the next city over, and the Kingdom of Power. Slaso said no, because they were busy preparing for a crusade against the beastmen of the Belarian Empire on the western continent. Loom then used this leverage to begin an economic takeover of Rye Hope by acquiring an entire street and turning it into a theonomic exchange market. It's essentially stock exchange, where assets are traded using faith, and their value rises or falls based on how much collective belief in piety the asset generates, which then accrues to an individual. And Inquisitors were using the theonomic exchange to monitor the faith of individual citizens and sending them to re-education if they didn't have enough. Praxezetis needed to do something. She then thought that convicting the statue could be a good way to get rid of it, as it had been an eyesore for a while now. So they hauled the statue into the halls of justice and called upon God to oversee the trial. He was silent, so they just decided to proceed anyway. The trial went something like this.
Grave insult! You have overstepped your mark and have been accused of a crime most foul. Speak your plea and be judged in the grace of God.
The statue's appointed defender, a demi-inquisitor who drew the short straw, offered a single sentence.
By 9 heavens, it's a statue.
The court ignored him. Guy Coades would then be pulled up to testify, to which he speaks about how he was innocently going for a stroll within Rye Hope's beautiful city before he was violently attacked by the statue. Dozens of eyewitnesses testified that he had spent 9 days assaulting an inanimate object. They were all arrested for re-education later that afternoon.
Statue, what do you say to this overwhelming evidence? It's guilty! May the flames of the 9 cleanse your soul!
The statue was then bathed in opal fire and sent to the flames of the Father, which is basically Malevian hell. And that, my friends, is the Ballad of the Statue. By the way, God was obviously very unhappy with this turn of events, and made everyone in Rye Hope blind. They then had to go get the statue back. Next time we meet again, I'll tell you one of many tales of what happens when you cross the wrong cartel in El Dorado. Till then, see you again soon.